Left to the right, top to the floor. When I say Black history, say it's yours. Black history, it's yours. Black history, yes, it's yours.
And we say it loud and proud again. There's no America without the African. Fighting to get it equal. Black history, the story of the people. Black history, it's yours. Black history, yes, it's yours. It's yours. Only 28 days in the month of February. It's just a kickoff, we don't stop till every textbook and every class give up the glory. The true and living facts of his and her story. People want to know why we still celebrate it. Road been rocky and we made it, we elated. Our survivors, strivers, fighters, singers get us dropping names like we have butterfingers. Rosa, King, X-Truth, the greatness. Ali, Fred, Douglass, these are the basics. But how about Bessie Coleman, the fly aviatrix? Or Katherine Johnson, who helped launch the spaceships? Or Lewis Latimer illuminating homes? Or Dr. Shirley Jackson improving telephones? Or Fred McKinley Jones keeping ice cream cold? I could go on and on till my body get old. Left to the right, top to the floor. When I say Black history, say it's yours. Black history, it's yours. Black history, yes, it's yours. Fought the revolution in both world wars. Black history, it's yours. Black history, yes, it's yours. Black history, yes, it's yours.
Gotta say it loud and proud again. There's no America without the African. Fighting to get it equal. Black history, the story of the people.
We gave you traffic lights to stop the crash, almanacs, gas furnace, and gas mask. Gave you hip-hop, Tila rock, blues and jazz, and fresh new dances with flair and pizzazz. Automatic gear shifts to move the cars. Potato chips and peanut butter in jars. Laundry dryers, home security systems, super soakers and suspenders. I could go on listing many contributions across institutions. Supreme Court and Vault Court, it's been an evolution. And we sing it every day. Blue notes like Harold Melvin for this Billie Holiday. We know what's going on. Thanks to Marvin Gaye. Get a bounce in our step on cue like Kid and Play. Gwendolyn and Kendrick, our poets represent. Hold mics tight like truths that's self-evident. Yeah, we know our heroes fantastic, but gotta remember the forgotten on the Atlantic. We gotta honor our departed, taken from the land where humanity started. Left to the right, top to the floor. When I say Black history, say it's yours. Black history, it's yours. Black history, yes, it's yours.
It's yours.
Oh yeah, that's that Black history, y'all.
It's dope, man.
Welcome.
You know the crazy part about that, man, is you watch the intro like that, and it's actually giving the game that we set up, and the wild part is, man, we're on the opposite side of the game that we gave. You know what I mean?
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
But
it's
you know,
crazy.
we get this little 28 days to try to cram in knowledge. We got active states, and let's call them out: Florida, Arkansas, a host of others, actively suppressing American history.
Oh, no doubt, man.
Actively
Georgia
suppressing American history to try, and I don't know what they're trying to do, build a new generation 50 years from now, oblivious to, you know, the truth always helps everyone. You know, we could be probably, absolutely, I believe, $100 trillion richer if it wasn't racism. To let everyone free, to let everybody free, and because we're in America, so everything helps America.
Right.
To be totally free, and to let everyone do whatever they're capable of and go as far as they're willing to work hard at.
But you know the thing is, and you're absolutely 100% spot on. So when I have these conversations and dialogues with people who are on the way right, and they talk about free market and deregulation and things of that nature. I said, that's for a chosen few. I said, there's no free market. I said, because the minute that you step out and you start exercising or doing something extremely well, here comes a hook. And they'll find a way to pull you back. But like you just stated, man, if our society allow people to do what their skill set possessed, man, we would solve our own problem.
Yeah, man, our country would be $100-200 trillion richer. All right, let's get with it. We gonna go into the relationship, and we're just blessed on the show because we got family here. The relationship between Tiger and Dr. Charlie Sifford. It was a special relationship. It shows how each one teach one really does work. I mean, it's very, very important. And I always know and think that Tiger Woods' dad held history and the ones who paved the way before in high regard, and shaping his son to be the greatest of all time, the GOAT. We was just talking about history, suppressing history, oppressing history. Tiger's father knew that introducing him to the greats that he looked up to that helped him play golf. And Tiger's father was a stick. People don't know this. You know what I mean? He was an amateur, but dude was a stick. They showed him swinging and playing a little bit pure. But he still, military guy, still held high regard of pathway finders, pathway makers. And he wanted his son to get the full story on why he's even where he's at right now. And he was receptive because maybe that's why they want to oppress history in schools. It stays with you. And you do with the information what you do with the information. Tiger's pops couldn't tell him exactly what to do with the information he was indoctrinated with. But as we see now, in his later years, it stayed with him, you know, and we're going to get into that relationship. We're going to get into the exemption. Genesis Open is starting tomorrow, right up the street from my house. I might go see the GOAT too. I might go see the GOAT Friday. I might go see the GOAT. I got some clubhouse passes. I might go see I might have to go. I've been many times, but I might have to go see the GOAT at the Rib. But anyway, yeah, we're gonna get into that. Before we get into that, any quick news or anything you like want to talk about?
What did Willie Mack do last week? I mean, I'm sorry, Tim O'Neill. Did he play?
Oh man,
yeah.
I didn't. I had it, and and we're gonna do that. Let's do not a recap, but we'll do that next week. We'll go and look at the numbers. I was following it, but offhand, I don't want to give bad numbers. He was close, and I think he dropped a few shots at the end.
Got you.
But I want to see where he's standing. I do want to see where he's standing at, and at the senior on the Champions Tour. Bramlett's been doing okay. He had a decent showing at Torrey. Had a decent showing at Pebble. Cameron, he's okay. I think he's working it out with Sean Foley. I still he's gonna get a major in the next 3 years. I don't care what anyone says. I just have that gut feeling. I watched what Sean Foley did with Lydia Ko, and it was a slow roll when he took over coaching her, and now she's back on top. Now she's like top 3, I think, right now on the LPGA. Give it patience. But yeah, so let's get into it, and I'm going to play a little clip, and we're gonna get into why we're here. Let's explore the relationship between Tiger and Charlie and this 2023 exemption.
Well, Charlie was a person. He was a pioneer. I mean, he was the person that He broke down the Caucasian clause that was part of the tour. I think that he should have been the first person to ever play in the Masters, but unfortunately that didn't happen after his win here in the Los Angeles area over at Rancho Park. Charlie was the grandfather I never had. You know, to me, he was Grandpa Charlie. You know, I see him at Firestone every year, and
that was him talking last year at his tournament, the Genesis, with Aaron Beverly, because he had received the exemption last year. And you know, I think people kind of know the story, but you know, when you name your son after someone, that's something that was in your heart. You know what I mean? And maybe you could speak to that. Your family, you're part of the Sifford legacy. How was Unc, and tell us a little bit about why he was so special.
If you were to have met him, he was a very stoic individual. But if you were in his circle, he was a very funny guy. And you know, and it was almost having I think it was, who wrote the poem, "We Wear the Mask That Grins and Lies." It was almost taken from that mantra, because when he was in the ring, he had to put on the mask. And but if you were to catch him at the Revolution of Charlie Sifford Golf Course, you would see a different side. And it was great. So if you were in his circle, it was robust. It was fun. The stories. I mean, the one thing that you can never replace are the stories, man. I mean, the book is out there, but to hear other pieces that's not in the book, you know, it's real special. Just what he endured on that tour, and very unfortunate, as Tiger alluded to, not being able to play in the Masters. But the thing about Charlie, Big Charlie, call him Big Daddy, and Tiger, I'm sure this is how it went, because you have to know Big Daddy. It was probably like, hey man, well, who was that boy hitting that ball like that? And well, I like to go out there and see him. So he probably goes out there and watches Tiger hit the ball. Ooh. So the thing is, it's almost like he was a fan from afar. And I'm sure Earl probably was like, there's Charlie Sifford. This is the guy that paved the way. And I'm sure that's how the introduction was. So I'm sure the relationship from that point forward was probably like a grandson, grandfather relationship. But he was, you know, in that space, he was subtle. You know, he was easy to have a conversation with. But when he jumped into the arena, you know, it was a whole different ball game.
It was a killer.
Yeah,
it was
exactly.
straight killer, straight business, handling business. And that was, you know, a lot of our grandparents'
Oh, no doubt.
our grandparents' thought process. They actually, you know, knew how to turn it on.
Right.
At the work, regular, if you're just not a professional athlete, just at the work, different places, it was a whole different set of business stuff when you was ready to work. And I think we're losing a little bit of that with our generation and the generations after.
But it's almost like PTSD. And I tell people all the time, you can never tell a rape victim when to get over her rape. I mean,
Facts.
that's, you know what I'm
That's
saying?
her trauma.
So, exactly. So I think it was the same thing with Earl, you know, being a Vietnam vet, and experiencing some of those isms that took place on the West Coast. I'm sure that was PTSD, a trauma that he probably passed on to Tiger, because you saw it in some of Tiger's earlier interviews.
Definitely.
Yeah, he was political, man, and he was adamant about what his assignment was, and he was adamant about the plight of Black people being able to play this game.
And what's so dope about him? First, you know, I always say this, and we've been doing this is the 60-second show, and I always say this: you got to let people do what they do. and how they do it.
Right.
You can't attribute what you think you might do to someone else and say, oh, they're not fighting as hard as they could. Well, you want them to walk around with posters and picket and protest? What are you talking about? Everyone has their own assignment. Everyone does their own, make their own way and help how they help, as you see. And we're going to get in that in a minute. How important? Okay, I'm going to pose this question to the audience and anyone. Where would we be in this elevated event system? This is 2023. So now we're in I think a 15 tournament elevated event, or 10 series elevated event where the minimum purse is 20 million. The stars, the top 10s, have to have a minimum engagement because they're going back with live and they want to, put on the best product. I mean, I love watching these tournaments where everyone is at.
Right.
Just to be honest, you know what I mean? Before Tory and before the Phoenix was the first, but Tory brings in people too. But before that, I gazed at the tournaments and checked scores and stuff, but your eyes was glued on the WM in Phoenix. Your eyes are going to be glued at the Riv because the top of the top is there competing for 20 million. And with only limited amount of, that's a junior, with limited amount of access and pros on the PGA Tour, where would we be if it wasn't a Tiger or a few others making ways to bring our stories even into these big elevated events? And we're going to get into the exemption because that's why it's so important. Will we even have a say or be on the stage, or would they be showing reruns of Uneven Lies and all that if Tiger wasn't receptive and he's part of this story?
Right. Absolutely not. I mean, you can see that we wouldn't have been taken serious. Just like with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wasn't who he was, and we had talent there, but it would have taken a little longer. So, those guys have a large hammer. And so the things that they can articulate, or the things that they think of and they want to push forward, progressiveness, then they're going to be heard. Think about this, man. And Tiger's impact. Tiger would mess up my weekends. I'm talking about the new Tiger on the scene. I'm not talking about 2000 Tiger. I'm talking about pre-2000 Tiger. Because, first of all, you never seen a guy that was physically fit like that. That looked great in his clothes. Wore the Nikes. Just all that stuff.
Everything.
Just unbelievable. And then now you're saying, damn, that's a brother out there, and he can golf his ball. So now what the weekend did for you was you wanted to stay in and watch this guy and see what he was going to do. So I always say, man, Tiger used to mess my weekends up. And when he was in contention, he really messed my weekends up. Because I say Sundays, I'm sitting there watching, he's in contention, and then, he doesn't win. I say, damn, I could have been out doing something else, but you wanted to see the finish.
You wanted to see the finish. You wanted to see the style. I think he was groomed by a lot of people. Probably MJ was like, look, Coach Prime does it all the time with his kids. Even now, like, look, you're going to be good and you're going to be talented and you have to work hard, but you got to be stylish. You got to be, he was on making his brand early.
Oh, no doubt.
Before it was popular. You know what I mean? And that was so important. And he built his brand, and he was like, look, you can go out there and look shabby and still win, but you won't make yourself a household brand like you are if you do. You know what I mean? Look good, feel good, win good. And so, like I said before, when we don't have people in place that care about the things you care about or have examples, and even if they say nothing, just looking at them, look how Thurgood Marshall was such a influence to create Black lawyers, and probably only talk to 1% of the lawyers it was another 99% that saw Thurgood Marshall fighting in the Supreme Court, became a Supreme Court justice, that spawned men and women of color alike to be lawyers and litigators just by seeing that. Tiger did the same thing in golf, MJ, Magic, now LeBron does the same thing in the NBA. We're going to have a host of Black quarterbacks after Mahomes and Hurts did this. And it was always Warren Moon, and it was always our guy from Washington, that actually Doug Williams. And when you see better, people want to do better, and then we come back to the oppressive nature of this country. Right. Country's great, love America. We all do better when we all do better, but we have to talk about the histories in the past that had roadblocks and why we do some of the things. And we're doing this show because, you know, if you see some of the other chats and you read some of the boards, like on the PGA boards or some of the Golf Digest boards, people, I'm not even going to do a broad stroke and just be like, oh, they this and that. I think they're ignorant and uninformed on why Black History Month, why the Charlie Sifford exemption, why the farms exemption at the farms at the Farmers Invitational out in Torrey. Why everybody's like, oh, they're getting golf welfare and this and that. No. You have to understand that you have to have exemptions and you have to have opportunities to bring people into the fold that was systematically and purposely left out of the fold. Right. It wasn't luck, and it wasn't just happenstance that these people were not able to play. They actually had laws and trickery to keep people from not playing. Why? Right. You guess what? The Genesis Invitational. Why is it called the Invitational? When did Invitational start? I'll tell you when they started. When Dr. Sifford, your family, and a few others went to court, sued the PGA, and won. And of course, people was like, well, see, they won. Everyone could play. No, guess what the PGA did and the sponsors did and the tournament directors did? They changed the wording and called it, oh, we're not going to use open anymore. We'll use invitational. So after 1961, everything went to invitationals, and guess what? You wasn't invited. So the practices still stayed the same, even though you won in court. And people only want to hear a quarter of the story and just be like, oh, they want handouts. Oh, they want this, they want that. No, it was still trickery involved, even after you win in court. Same with civil rights movement, same with everything else. These people don't give up because it came from a place of oppression. They're just not going to be like, oh, we went to court and lost. I love everyone now. It doesn't work that way. No. You still have to keep fighting because people put other roadblocks in place. So,
but just think about that though. Just think about
come on.
What you just said.
Speak on it.
The rule states that if you win an event, you make a beeline to Augusta, and you get a group of guys who get together and say, over my dead body, and you change the rules. No different than a cat going through, like I always tell people about The Spook Who Stood by the Door. Great book, great movie. I always recommend the movie because people don't read anymore. But here's a guy that couldn't get into the FBI. He blew every test away and he couldn't get in the FBI. So it took the act of Congress for him to matriculate into the FBI. Not because he wasn't smart enough, because he was too Black. That is unbelievable when you think about it. You know,
they couldn't let him know that. They couldn't let him know all the secrets. Yeah, they didn't want him to know the secrets.
But see, I hear cats all the time talking about, well, the affirmative action. We should have never done that because I want the best doctor. Well, you may have not have got the best doctor.
Not may have not. Yeah. You didn't get the best anything. It wasn't the best.
Crazy.
MLB. It wasn't the best baseball players when you denied Black baseball players playing. It wasn't the best golfers when you denied all those pathway finders and our legends unable to play. It wasn't the best NFL. Like, this is 2023. We still having Black quarterback debates.
It's
You wasn't getting the
ridiculous,
best quarterbacks. You were detouring talented quarterbacks in high school and making them DBs and running backs and wide receivers because you didn't want them to be quarterbacks. So stop it. Stop it.
Hey, Manny, and that you speak on
And you
that.
know this too because you played high level football.
Hey, I tell parents this now at Pop Warner level, when the coach comes out and they have you running sprints and your kid is the fastest, but your kid's very athletic and your kid wants to play quarterback, but they say, well, we're gonna put him out here wide receiver or put him at defensive back or running back, and we're gonna let little Billy hand the ball off. You tell him no. You say no. My kid is the best athlete on this team, and he's gonna play quarterback. So what Cam Newton's dad did. Cam Newton's dad told his high school or junior high school coach, my kid's not playing linebacker. He's a quarterback. Exactly. So so that's what happens. So when you matriculate into that position that they sanction you to play, then you end up playing it all through your career. When you were actually the best quarterback on that team throughout your high school, junior high career. It's crazy, man. Don't get me started on that shit.
Yeah, I know. And we're gonna always tell what's real and be positive because that's what we need to do. But we got to tell that real at all cost.
Oh, no
and
doubt.
Why? Yeah, the why and the how is just as important as the end result is doing. We're doing better, but the why and the how is important too. The journey is important too. So then we circle all the way back around and say these exemptions, and we're going to get into the APGA, and it's been about 3 exemptions. Your family is Dr. Sifford is getting his due. The scholarships, that's beautiful. We'll talk more about that too in the coming weeks. We had Charlie Jr. on last week to give us, and then who's running it, Julia. We'll bring her on when she has time and she can really dig down deep. The application process has started already, and you can go to the Sifford Foundation and find the information. And if you have any juniors and high schoolers that want to play golf or get into the golf management degree from a university, reach out to the website, get the information, and you will have a chance to live your dreams, courtesy of the Charlie Sifford Scholarship Fund. Beautiful, beautiful. And we're giving him his flowers and his just due accolades. And that's why we go back with the history, because we're like, well, who is this guy and why is he getting this and these accolades? And because it was a hard fought many, many years of oppression. Call it what it was. It's just oppression. That old oppression that keeps rearing its ugly head. Why? And people, some people get, like younger people or people my age that wasn't indoctrinated or didn't have the information. Why we always got to hear the first black this and the first black that, instead of asking yourself, why is it that it's the first black? We've been here when y'all got here.
Right.
What are you talking about? It shouldn't be first black this or first black anything. We've been here as long as y'all family's been here. Matter of fact, we've been here longer than most families. You guys immigrated during the making of America. We were here making America with everyone else. It was no immigration from Africa. We taking these guys to build America. So that's why when you hear the first black this, the first black that, why this, why that, is because we've been here just as long and helped build America, but yet we still make it first.
And one thing I want to say about from the Sifford family is that a lot of times, I'll see on some different platforms and chats and people talking about, well, he wasn't the only one. And we know, I've stated that publicly. We know that Charlie Sifford wasn't the only one who was oppressed, who didn't get the opportunity to play during that period of time.
Facts.
I can go down the list and name you names. Like Rosa Parks wasn't the first person to sit on the front of the bus. But the thing is this. Charlie was the guy who sat in the seat, and he was the guy that forwards forward in his desire to play on the PGA Tour, and he just happened to be the one. So I didn't,
Yeah.
so the Sifford family never wants to anyone to think that, he's the only one. No, he wasn't the only one. There was a trailblazer. Well, you had a lot of trailblazers back then who were, and James Black will tell you, Charlie had a different mindset than most of us. Because James will tell you, I was hot-headed. He said, I couldn't have taken all that. He said, I'm glad he was the one. And so, but we always like to put that out there because we don't want anyone to think that we're saying that he was the only one who endured those difficult times.
And that's how stories, and when things happen too late and other family members is like, he's getting all the accolades, where's my scholarship stuff, where's this and that and that. We got to understand that you can't, it really has nothing to do with, how can I put it? It has nothing to do with the families are keeping this. We try to keep everybody's legacy alive, just like it was other trendsetters and fighters in the civil rights movement.
Right.
And sometimes people pick who they want. The biggest racists and the biggest Republicans always want to quote some Martin Luther the King. They always want to quote.
Man, he just lost himself.
Said, and definitely,
he must have hit that button.
Definitely, we have to always say it was other fighters. It's always no one was in it. He wasn't in a cave by himself fighting, shadow fighting. It was other people too. It was many other people. But today we talk about Charlie Sifford, Dr. Charlie Sifford. Right. We're talking about the exemption. We're talking about the scholarship. We're talking about that special relationship with a GOAT in the sport we love and why that's important and why others must and will be great to keep the legacy and keep doors open, because as quick as these doors are opening now, they can be shut. I don't know why people don't think that all this inclusion and diversity, when that money run out or it's not popular anymore, it's back to business, back to business as usual. So let's seize the opportunity that we have now with the inclusion, diversity, equity. Let's seize these opportunities so the doors stay open. It may, let's seize these opportunities with these exemptions. We're going to get deep into this exemption. It's Brother Marcus Byrd. Last year was Aaron Beverly. I want to play some clips. Then we're going to go into that. We're going to go into the APGA. We're going to go into the scores they shoot and why scores are definitely important on your journey. But these scores are not important in this exemption, in my opinion. Because I don't want to judge people's scores by the exemption, because the exemption is not for you to show how you shoot scores against seasoned pros. You know what I mean? They're not on that journey yet. Exemptions to me is opportunity to see the journey you want to be on and fight to get on that journey, right? I don't think exemptions into the Genesis, which Tiger's never won at Riv. Nicholas has never won at the Riv. You know what I mean? You don't expect someone on the beginning of their professional journey to go out there and win at the Riv. You know what I mean? You just don't. That's not what the exemption's for. So we're going to hear our 2023 exemption winner in his own words, and then we're going to go into scores and past exemptions on why I think it's important to have exemptions, why I think it's important that they get the opportunity and the experience to play with the big guys. It's an experience thing. It's not they're just as good as them now. But before that, let's have a little. I do that because make sure you subscribe, make sure you set the bell. We come on once a week. We have great entertainment. We're changing the formats. We're, we had great guests on, and we're going to continue to have great guests on, and we're going to talk about current events. And, there's no one on YouTube right now that's doing it what we're doing. We're in our own space. There's no one doing what we're doing. There's plenty of channels to get swing tips. There's plenty of channels to keep up with all the tours day by day, week by week. We don't do that. We highlight the tours. We highlight different stats, but our job is to bring you stories and conversations in the weeds and the sausage making. So the sausage making is, how do you build stars? How do you come from the ground up? How does those roses rise in between concrete? That's what we do. That's what our stories are. Why should amateurs and why should anyone get into golf just for fun? Because it builds business, it puts money in your pocket, and you're around different people to help you with your business. That's what our niche is. So subscribe, like, we are amateur golfers. We are in the golf space in an amateuristic way. I have a golf league. Our co-host Trish, she's in the golf space. Sif is in the golf space, and we also do regular stuff. We're regular. We don't make money in the golf space. We're in the golf space not to make money. We're in the golf space because we love the game, and we're trying to grow the game, and we're definitely trying to get these juniors and our kids' kids to play the game at any level: college, high school, recreation, and pro. Okay, let's get with the 2023 exemption winner here in his own words, some of the stuff he has to say.
We would like to welcome the 2023 Charlie Sifford Memorial Exemption recipient, Marcus Byrd. Marcus, welcome. Just a little while ago, you got to meet Tiger Woods. We just want to hear some opening comments about what that interaction was like.
Yeah, it was pretty special moment just to kind of actually shake his hand and meet him in person. Seen him a bunch when he had his tournament at AT&T and Congressional, and always was a huge fan, obviously. And so just to kind of look at him face to face and actually realize he's human, that was pretty cool.
So he was at the press conference, a presser at an elevated event. I don't know, I've never been at I'm not a professional golfer, but I think that is going to stay with him for life. Yeah. Great guy. He can golf his ball. He's on his journey. He's not there yet. He's on his journey. And doing a presser, learning how to do pressers, playing on those conditions. He has some great partners to help him on this journey. Well deserving. What say you, Sif? And what's your take? Because you play to win too. What's your take, and what's your take on the exemption and the Marcus Byrds, or the Aaron Beverleys, or the Camus? What's your take on exemptions, and why they're important or why they're not important and they shouldn't? What's your opinion on it?
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm pro exemptions because I think that there needs to be an opportunity to see what it's like to be at that level and in that space, because that space is totally different than what they normally play in, and so to have that opportunity to see what it's like, I think it's very, very much needed. Now the athlete and the competitor in me is knowing that you got the exemption and going out and shoot a number. Now, just like you said earlier, winning. Yeah, I hope you go into it with the mindset that you're trying to win. I mean, that Tiger says that all the time.
You got to.
But the thing is you have to shoot a number. And I know we're going to talk about the APGA stuff, but I just think that when you get to that stage, and I know golf is a little different, but when you have young men who play college football, basketball, just like LeBron, LeBron's coming out of high school, and he's 18 years old, and he could have failed miserably, because we've seen a lot of guys who have come out of high school who have failed miserably. But there's something in the pit of his guts to say that I'm not. There's something in the pit of Tiger Woods' guts to say that I'm not. I mean, so, and I'm not comparing these young kids to a Tiger Woods, but I'm comparing these kids to a more competitive regiment and mindset of I'm here. It's no difference in the civil rights movement, man. You think of the best neurosurgeons. What was the guy up in Maryland that was the brain surgeon?
Yeah.
He couldn't fail. He's on the spot. He's got the spotlight on him right now, and he can't fail, because if he fails, then he fails for everyone behind him, and you may not get that opportunity. And I'm not putting fail pass on these guys who are getting these exemptions. All I'm saying is go out and shoot a number.
For sure. We definitely understand that. I like that. But people don't understand, throughout the history of certain tournaments, they've always had exemptions. Tiger played Riv at 16, didn't make the cut because Byron Nelson invited him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that is part of golf, getting people experiences. Tiger was advanced. They knew he was an advanced golfer for his age. He had won many tournaments and accolades. And Byron Nelson was like, I want to give him an opportunity to shine. They knew he wasn't ready,
right?
But they wanted to give him an opportunity to see and be around what he's working towards. The same with Aaron Beverly, the same with Marcus Byrd. They want to give them an opportunity to see what they're working towards. To me, and that's what I think they do, and that's why they have sponsor exemptions. That's why they have exemptions. Period, and it's still an invitational.
Right.
A little better than it was in the 60s, because now some of us are getting invited, but it is still an invitational, and people can invite or have exemptions on who they want for whatever reasons they want. And these guys would never get a chance. I go back. This is the second elevated event, $20 million. The top, I think 9 of the top 10 people are in the field competing. And you got the GOAT last minute. It's like, I think I'm going to try my hand to get out there and compete too. For APGA tour player, mini tour player that's aspiring to eventually probably get to the Korn Ferry Tour, because I think that's where you need to go.
Right.
Got to get to the Korn Ferry Tour. If you ever want to get on tour, you have to get to the Korn Ferry Tour. And I just think it's a great opportunity. I think it's important. I believe it's really, really important. These guys would never get to see stuff like this, or let alone play, sit on the range, hit balls, bring your caddy, whoever's caddying for you, your coach, who's probably not a household name. Get them into the mix. You never know what connections and who you might run into to help you in your journey. I mean, I just
let me ask you this, man. And I don't disagree. I don't. But let me ask you this: can sometimes being in a situation do more harm than good? Just think about the guy who goes to the NFL Combine and he's been clocked at 4.3. He goes to the Combine and runs 4.3, and he runs 4.6. So now all of a sudden, whatever the situation may be, he may have gained some weight, he may have pulled something, he may have tweaked something, but now he's clocked at 4.6 in front of everybody. So he may have gone from a first rounder to a 6th rounder. So sometimes you can, and I know not in this situation, because I
understand exactly what you're saying.
I do agree with you about the exemptions in terms of getting the opportunity to be in that space. But I've seen sometimes where people can get into a space and then they show that they're really not ready.
Well, okay, I understand that, and I'm going to say, me personally, and this is just my opinion, they're not ready. to be on, they haven't earned the right to be on tour. So of course they're not ready. I don't think that has anything to do with the exemption and the experience that they're getting, because I believe that that experience and that opportunity is not because they're ready and not because they're actually there to win. You want to go out there and you never know, anything is possible. If they even get close to making the cut, I'm jumping up and down. If they number 70th, if they 70th right on the number, right on the cut line, number 70, number 69, that's winning the lottery for them.
Right.
What are you talking about? But I don't believe that is what the exemption is for. To me. You see what I'm saying? Right. I don't believe they got an exemption because they were like Dr. Sifford and they were ready, but they were oppressed and couldn't get on tour. That's not what to me, the exemption is for experience, to be around professionals. You've earned your right for the exemption because you're on a path and you're doing good on that path. And you've shown you're a good human being and you've shown you're a hard worker. You see what I'm saying? Right, but this is one step on a path to where you're going. So no, they're not ready. No, they're not going to shoot. They haven't shot, or anybody for that matter. Tiger didn't shoot good enough numbers to be invited by Byron Nelson, but that probably helped him on his journey. You know what I mean? So I think it's two arguments. I think if anybody thinks they're ready and to really compete, I think that's the wrong message. And I don't think people I think people internalize that because we're all competitors, even amateurs, and we're like, man, I want to get out there. If I'm at the rib, like, I could shoot a 70 both days. Well, if you shoot 70 both days, you're gonna make the cut.
Right. Oh, no doubt.
The cut might be -1, maybe. It's a par 71. It's a par 71. It's tough. It's one of the toughest courses. It doesn't look that tough, but it's one of the toughest courses on tour. F. Bell, the architect. We have a lot of Ted Robinson stuff. Actually, Seth, I'm in Cali. Most of our Muni courses look exactly and play exactly like the Riv. It's crazy to believe that. It's just the conditions are Muni conditions. But you're going around some of our Muni courses, Norwood, Rancho, where your uncle won. Those courses look like the Riv. They just do. They're flat. Riv is in a valley. It's only 2 real crazy elevated holes. You got number 1 by the clubhouse, and then you got to go back up on 18. And both of those are like, maybe 200, 300 feet going down. And then 18, you go back up. But in the valley, you just got thin tree line, long holes with they're like dry riverbeds going through the whole thing because it's in a valley. So you want the water to drain, right? So you got dry riverbeds that you got to walk through. It's tight, and it seems like you playing in a hole because everything around you're in a bowl, right? The actual golf course is in a bowl. I went to junior high a block and a half, and when I went to my friend's house, we would climb over his gate and go into Riv and hang out and sneak and drink beer on the 5th hole and the 4th hole. Even as a child, I had no idea about golf. I just was like, oh, it's trees and we can hide and drink beer. And we would look up, and then we'll be on the 4th or 5th hole. We look up, and then we'll see people dancing and partying at the clubhouse because the lights would be on, you know what I mean? And his parents was at the clubhouse. That's why we was able to sneak out, because they was members. And so that course is a monster. The greens are a monster. The length is a monster. And them thin fairways are monsters. And that's why Tiger's never won. And that's why Nicholas has never won there. And, I just believe that, like you said, the reason they're there is different than the reason the pros are there. Even though they're professionals and they're on their journey, I just think it's 2 different missions, 2 different experiences. Let's get into clip 2.
I agree with
Clip 2, and we can get down, and then because then we'll go back into the scores of the Tory. It was +4s and +5s. Let's hit another clip of our guy.
Marcus, being here and being the Charlie Sifford exemption recipient and being at Tigers tournament, I just wanted to ask you about the role of representation. You alluded to it a little bit, of being able to inspire people back home. Just talk about the role and what you see as your opportunity to inspire people to get into the game of golf who maybe look like you.
Yeah, that's what it's all about, right? It's about the game being inclusive and about giving kids hope, because that's what I've always dreamed of, and to make it to the PGA Tour. So to be able to sit here and see little kids who look up to me and, you know, they have a dream and they want to be able to kind of do the same things I'm doing from where I'm from. It means more to me than just being a professional golfer. You know, it's changing lives. And, you know, for me, it's just having the opportunity to do that. Companies like ISCO and ADP and Stout, they've been amazing in helping me pursue my dream and my goals. And just to be able to show these kids that you can be just like me in these shoes. And that's what it's all about. It's about bringing more people to the game and making it more approachable. And I think when you get more people that look like me and more people who can, you know, spread that and spread the love of the game that way, that's more important than anything else. And I think that's what the game of golf is really about.
That was our Clifford. Bogani explains why he's there and his take on it. Shout out to Marcus Byrd. We did have he's so busy. Trish hit him, text him, and the APGA guys have been so gracious to us to come on the show, and they're always willing to talk to us. I'm sure he'll be on next week or the week after. This is his time. Yeah, you know what I mean? This is his moment. This is the biggest stage he's ever gonna. I want him to enjoy and take everything in and just be concentrated on his opportunity to learn, to network, to learn some more on his journey. He can golf his ball, and he can golf it. He's not ready now to say he's a PGA Tour ready guy, but he can golf his ball. And I think people don't understand that as Black folks or minority folks or brown folks, we get into the game later. So whereas Tiger got into it early, so he was there at 16, we might have guys there at 24, 26, 28, because we get into the game later and we peak later because of our experiences. That doesn't mean we're not good. It just means on the spectrum of growth, maybe our age is a little older because we got into it right later. You know what I mean? So don't go by age. It's like, oh, now I don't want to see no 40-year-old getting no exemption. You know, I don't want to see that. But I think, you know, our experiences puts us at a different age bracket sometimes for exemptions and experiences, and don't count people out. Come on, LeBron's on his 20th year. Boy playing like he 22 still. So that's a reason why we did the show. We wanted to hear people in his own words. I think people understand the relationship between Tiger and Dr. Sifford, but I don't think they get it and why it was important and why it's so dear to Tiger and dear to the Sifford family. That is some of the reasons why we get some flowers for Dr. Sifford. The exemptions from Tiger, the scholarships from the Travelers, and we'll let Julia come on and explain all of that. These things happen because he endeared and he fought a good cause and fought the fight and never gave up. Right. Never gave up. He has an exemption named after him. What do you think his take would be? And what would you think, and we're going to close on this, what would you think Dr. Sifford's take would be on his exemption in his name? And what do you think his expectations would be from the players who got the exemption? And we're going to close on that. And you can be as raw and truthful in your opinion as you want.
Nah, it's to be honest with you, it's no malice. I think he would have loved it. He would have absolutely ate it up and absolutely loved it, because he would have, the things that he was fighting against, now he's seeing it turn a little bit, and he's seeing, like, for example, with the exemption, he's starting to see these guys come in getting the opportunity. He would have ate it up. He would have loved it, and he would have loved on those guys who were getting the exemption. I can see him going up to the kids now. Hey, boy, you need to, keep your head down. You need to stay focused now. You got this opportunity. But I don't think he would have been hard on him. I just think that, after it was all said and done, he said, now you know what you got to do when you get back the next time. So I
That's
think
dope.
it's
Yeah,
more
because
so to your point. He's just happy to see those guys getting that opportunity. So
nice.
you're
Now
right.
I love that you said what he would tell them after their experience and what's expected of them. What do you think is expected of them after the exemption and after that experience? Do they not owe, but what should they take away and what should they bring back to the village?
Well,
Because only one can go a year, so they need to bring back stuff to the whole village so the next person can learn that didn't get a chance to go.
right. Well, the thing is, if you got a cat like Marcus Byrd, who's a great golfer,
Yeah, he golfs ball.
his takeaway should be clear out the clutter here, and get in the lab, because he's not a guy. He's a guy that can shoot some low numbers, and he's a guy that has the game to be there. So his takeaway should be, okay, when I leave here, okay, I got my nose blooded up a little bit. So I need to go back home. I'm gonna get in this lab. I'm gonna go down on the bottom of the hill, and I'm just gonna start picking it out of the dirt. That's his takeaway. Some of the other guys in the past, their takeaway should be a little different in terms of going back to the community or to the hood and getting more kids involved at the ground level.
I think definitely, because I think his takeaway is going to be like, look, I was on the range with the top 10 golfers in the world. And I seen how their coaches looked at them. I seen what they was working on. I seen their practice routines firsthand. He's going to take away a wealth of knowledge.
Oh no,
he's going to take away
it's like
a wealth
Martin
of
Luther.
knowledge.
It's like he's in a position right now, like the speech of Martin Luther King. He's walking to the mountaintop, so he'll be able to see over the mountaintop, and he'll see that, you know what, I've got. If he has that mentality, I've got the game to beat here. Because I've heard several people like Jay McNair, they've watched him play. Some other folk, they say he's the real deal. And just by watching him he's striking his ball. So he's there. He's at the arena. He's at the stage. So his takeaway should be, okay, I've seen how it's done here. I see how they move. I'm going back to the lab, and I'm gonna make some potions, and I'm gonna come out lights out next time.
Guess what? It goes fast when we just chit-chatting. We already at an hour. So if it seemed like 30 minutes, don't it? Yeah, that's the show, man. We'll be back next week. Our co-host will be back next week. She was with the Grand on the plane somewhere, flying across country. Yeah, hopefully we shed a little light. That's just our opinions. And I don't think it's the APGA's job or the Sifford Foundation and Tiger to explain again and again why the exemption is important. So sometimes we can explain it, and hopefully you got a little insight from a family member and from an opinionated member. And that's it. Till next week. That's the show, you guys. Watch it. It's coming on. At least I think that's where I'm going Friday, because I don't know if Tiger even gonna make the cut. So I'm gonna go Friday and see the GOAT. You never know how many times you're gonna be able to see that GOAT. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna follow around. I'm gonna try to follow around Marcus Byrd. I'm gonna take a look at the GOAT and all the rest of those guys and enjoy it. On that note, we out, you guys. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, subscribe, hit that bell. We'll be